Well, I thought after last night this was very fitting. The baseball isn't boring. It really isn't. And I've talked about this before. The stories, the scripts that they write on a daily basis, especially here in Boston, especially at Fenway Park. I mean, Fenway, the cathedral, the ballpark in all of major leagues, the place where people from all over come. But I always say that Hollywood could not write scripts the way Major League Baseball can at times. Wow. That game in the offseason, we look back at some of the weird and wacky and special games of the year, and with some heartbreak. We're going to go to that Tuesday night. Welcome to Red Sox Now. It's presented by FanArch. I'm Mike Antonellis. Christian Campbell was a single shy of the cycle last night for the Woo Sox. We'll get to that. I know everyone wants him called up. Plenty to get to your comments as well. You see the sidebar. Those are the topics that we will discuss today. We have hit over 1,700 subscribers. Thank you, guys and gals. I mean, you're amazing. We keep getting people each day that said we're subscribing. The goal is 3,000 on the last game of the year. I made 3,000 because that's a good baseball number, right? 3,000 hits. That movie, Mr. 3,000, is pretty bad. I could do a whole podcast on this, by the way. So, as many as you know, I'm not full-time as a broadcaster now in the minor leagues. I just do home games. But for 25 years, I was full-time, so I traveled. And some of you might know this, but there's a thing called bus movies. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's like the movies that aren't very, you don't have to think too much. Super Troopers is a bus movie. Mr. 3000 is a bus movie. Pretty bad, but it's a bus movie. Maybe a Saturday afternoon kind of movie. But if you have not seen it, check it out. It's all right. All right, we got to get to serious stuff. But I do appreciate, and if you could please subscribe, because we'd like to get up to 2,000 by the end of the month. I think we can do that. And we got bigger plans for this channel, and all of you that have been with me from the beginning. Thank you. And we appreciate it so much. I can't thank you enough. That's why we have the Baseball Isn't Boring today. Thanks to Rob Bradford, who I've bummed a couple of shirts off. All right, the game last night. I will tell you one thing. Nesson put up the graphic. Cleveland's, I don't know, statistics against left-handed pitchers, which stop. I don't care about that stuff. It doesn't matter. When Crochet's out there throwing a pitch, none of that matters. I get it. They struggled against lefties. But what does it tell you about the game? You can say whatever you want about Cleveland's lineup. Yes, they don't hit. Their average is bad. It doesn't matter in the big leagues if you center cut pitches where his location was off. Even someone as good as him. The game constantly teaches. Still has a chance for the Cy Young. Is arguably, you could say, top 2 pitcher, top 3, right? Skeens, Skubal, Crochet. Each fan base puts the other one. I would take all 3, like any 3. Like if I had to give up Crochet and take Skubal, I'd do that. If I had to give up Crochet and get Skeens, I would do. I think every team would do that. So, in the top 3 pitchers in the game. But, couldn't locate. And it doesn't matter. Noel, Fry, Rocchio, and Hedges. Those guys don't have great averages. Hedges had 2 hits, 147. Noel, 159. Fry, 159. Rocchio, 235. He's a really good shortstop. I've seen a lot of him over the years in the minor leagues. It's funny how, like, in a game like that, Jose Ramirez doesn't have a home run. But that's the game constantly teaches, like I said. And Crochet was off. And I know we're going to go to excuses. He hasn't pitched on. It's the 4 days rest. He looked fine to start the game. It happens. It happens. He's had starts on 5 days rest where he was battling through the first few innings. He wasn't last night. He just left a few pitches there, and they capitalized it. That's it for me. I'm not going to sit here and he was off. It happens. He's not been off a lot. That's his worst outing of the season, and it's September 3rd. His ERA is still under 2.7. It ties for the most runs allowed. Now, yeah, going forward, if that continued to happen, yes, that would be a problem. But man, does a game humble you quickly, doesn't it? And in a game like that, you think there's no chance you win. But the offense for the second day in a row bailed out Bayo and Crochet. This is where baseball is so, it's not played on paper. It's you have your two good pitchers, and you know, I do it too. There's an ease about, okay, well, I like our chances. And the offense had to really step up, which they did. That eighth inning was crazy. And I'm so glad that Dave O'Brien brought this up. You lost Roman Anthony, and it's an oblique injury. We'll get to that. But the biggest hit in that situation was Nate Eaton, who filled in admirably for Roman Anthony and had 2 hits. He got a two-out bloop hit. What does it, again, tell you about the basics that Lou Merlone talks about? All these, Will Middlebrooks constantly putting the ball in play, right? Putting the ball in play. Narvaez had that soft 2-strike hit where he just tried to make contact, that one that died up the line earlier in the game that led to a big rally, right? When they scored 4 runs. He had that little infield hit, yeah, in the second inning, and then Roman Anthony had a hit to bring in a run. But Nate Eaton with that little bloop shot off Cade Smith, who's really good. And then it got you to Bregman, Duran, who had, that was a huge hit from Duran, and then Story. You had 4 straight 2-out hits. And that nullified you using Chapman, which is fantastic. But the offense arrived. Rafaela, that huge home run. You can't hang him any breaking balls. Again, look at the situation there. You know, Rafaela. Now, Rafaela's a good hitter, but you can't leave anything up like that to anybody. 8th hitter in the lineup. He has a lot of home runs, but my point is the home runs that were hit last night, bad locations. Lowe had another home run. He looks good. What more can you say about Romy Gonzalez? He's almost at 300. And he's been hitting about 320 since since the beginning of July. Yoshida had 3 hits, 2 doubles, hit the ball hard. You need that. It was great to see. Rafaela, Narvaez, Yoshida, Gonzalez, Lowe, Story, and Eaton, all with multi-hit games. And the bullpen did their job. Once again, we've seen this again. They needed 3 scoreless innings. They got it. Whitlock, Slayton, and Bernardino. I know there was a lot of panic about Slayton, but he's still coming back from injury. That's been my thing that I've been trying to convey with, Yoshida, for instance, 12 rehab at-bats, no spring training, back in the big leagues. I know they hit off that Trajex machine that they have, which you can simulate any pitcher in the big leagues, but they did it with Fitz, too. Fitz, remember that Angels start. He wasn't really ready to come back. That didn't work out, but they're in a pennant race. So it's, you compensate. If it's another year and you're out of it, I think a lot of these guys are rehabbing longer. But you need them. You need them. So you got through it, you won. And then the bad news, it's heartbreaking because it's an oblique injury. And as I record this, we don't know. And I saw these doctors tweeting all these and I respect them, but let's not, I don't know. I just don't think it's appropriate. Like, let the team make the announcement. He hasn't got an MRI yet. Like, and professional athletes are different. I've been told this by trainers that you can't, and my mom worked in an orthopedic office for years, and she said you can't really, athletic people, normal people are different. They just are. I mean, their bodies are different, their muscles are different, so you can't generalize injuries for a normal person to an athlete. So what might be a week or 2 for a normal person, it can be less for an athlete. So If it's obliques are never good, and we don't know. But he's going to probably miss. I would think at least, we'll see, at least a week, right? Without even speculating, because without even knowing, you would think it would be at least a week, because what he said last night, how it hurt. He would need some rest, and they're traveling. Will he go? I don't know. You would think he would need at least, if it was just like before, 2 or 3 days rest. I would just say it would probably be, before we know anything, at least 5 to 7 days. But I hope it's none. I hope he's fine today. But the way he looked after the post game, no, did not get that feeling. Very dejected. So that sucks. It really does, for many levels. I was with that guy in Worcester, got to see him work hard. It's easy to say, well, he's 21. He has a whole career ahead of him. He doesn't care about any of that. To him, he's worked all his life. He's not thinking about the money. He's not thinking about, well, I still have a long career. He's not thinking about any of that. He is upset because he is a huge part of this club. I was texting with some baseball people last night, and they said, like, the oblique's the worst situation out of that area, So, but we just hope, and we'll find out soon. But that's going to hurt. Definitely is going to hurt. Now, Durant's probably going to go back in that leadoff spot, and they're going to need guys to step up. Now, I think if this will be interesting to see who goes up. It's not going to be Campbell. I know everybody is calling for that. I know you're calling for that. I'll get to that a little bit later. You need defense. And if Abreu's out any longer, because he might be out, this is why all of the talk that we did during the break, and a lot of you said the same thing. We talked about it. Trading an outfielder at the break made no sense, because if you had injuries. And I know when I brought that up at the time, I got some comments saying you shouldn't do that. I'm like, well, it's not jinxing. It's just that's the game. It's a long, grueling grind. It's a cruel sport. It starts in, the end of January. It's every team goes through this. Zach Wheeler's out. Xander Bogaerts is out for the year. Jason Adam for the Padres. They just lost 2 huge pieces. Who's the healthiest at the finish line? The Yankees don't have Cole. They didn't have Heel. They lost Judge. Everyone goes through it. This is just, in so many levels, it stinks because of how much we love Anthony. What a rookie year. He's a huge part to this team. But I think if it's, if Anthony and Abreu are out, long term, Garcia would be the guy for me because of his defense. He's an unbelievable outfielder, all 3 spots. So, I would think I think they're comfortable with Nate Eaton for now, because he's a good outfielder as well. But you lose that, that extra left-handed batter. So we'll just see what happens. But it's, boy, seeing him speak on the postgame was tough. But I don't think it will be Campbell. I think Campbell makes no sense anyways, because he can't really play outfield yet in the big leagues. At first, let's talk about Nathaniel Lowe had another nice home run, but you can tell how much he loves Boston, right? It's pretty evident. I think it was okay to have some questions about him. He wasn't hitting with the Nationals. There was speculation about him not being a great teammate. The Rangers traded him for a reliever. They didn't want him anymore. And that's, I think those were okay questions to have. But when we broke it down, it didn't matter, because all you care about now is that he's here. You're all using him just for the rest of the season, playoffs, and then next year, I don't know. I can't really think of next year. I know a lot of people are talking about it. with him. Who knows? He could be. I like the fact that he can play here. Right? He's shown he can play in Boston. But this was such an easy decision because it was free. They DFA'd him. And if he didn't work out, you could just cut him. You're just paying him the league minimum, right? So it made sense. But I think a lot of the questions that I had at the beginning, he's checked them off. You could tell how much he loves Boston. You can tell how much he loves his teammates. And it's a stronger situation than Washington. That's why I always caution people too. And again, I'm at fault here because I looked at numbers where you can't look at numbers from other places. You just don't know, like there's other situations that go on. And you look at a lot of the players that they brought in this year, they're having much better years here than they did in previous spots. I mean, Justin Wilson's one. He was with the Reds last year. It's interesting. There is a dynamic to that. Better lineup, better hitters around you. Expectations for Lowe are not the same. I mean, I know he's hitting in the middle of the lineup, but he's around some great players with Story, Bregman, Duran. It's just a different situation where he can kind of ease in and you get rejuvenated. It's not fun. Washington is not a great baseball town. Fans don't really know. It's completely different than here. It's a 180. So this was great, and he's worked out. And now you need him to really step it up. You really do. But good signing. Good first baseman, too. And I like his swing. Really good swing. All right, let's get to your comments from Tuesday's show. I knew it was Tuesday. I don't know. For some reason, when I looked on the screen, it looked like Thursday. At Austin Ferris, 2155. Trevor Story is easily this year's MVP. Look at us the last 2 years without him and the domino effect it had on the team as a whole when he was out, and then the impact having him every day. One word to describe the difference is stability. Yeah, definitely. For that position, too. Multifaceted. Did you see some of the plays he made last night? Some of the plays Bregman and Story made defensively on that left side? Pretty unbelievable. But I will say your pitching has been better, too. That is a huge reason you're better. But if you didn't have that position, Raffaello would probably be your shortstop. But then that would create a hole in center. But let's just say that, for this argument, Raffaello stays in center. You can't find guys like this. So I think all the facets of the game, he brings, like you said, a lot of stability. But yeah, I mean, 2 more RBIs, 24 doubles. He's up to 88 RBIs. That's my thing, is he could finish with 100. He's 25 steals. 25 homers, 25, like if he goes 25 plus steals, homers, doubles, 100 RBIs, Gold Glove shortstop. That's an MVP type season for the team to me. At Randall Paints, I think they need 2 awards, most valuable and most outstanding, the best player in the league and the one who brings the most value. Yeah. I think the players would go for that. I have a feeling that the owners, the players and agents would go for it because it would be an extra bonus. I know they get bonuses if they finish in the top 10 and ranking. Like there's all kinds of other bonuses, but I bet the Players Union has tried for these other awards, and the money. I know that's I know. Well, that's not fair. Yeah, that's just. But I don't know why we don't have more awards. That's one thing. Like, why not? You can make a whole award show. All right, Scott, we're going to get to yours. Scott Chalmers. Hope I'm saying that right. No, I know Scott really well at 5,200. I have to censor your thing. How much did they mess up that kid, Campbell? He made the team out of spring, signed a decent 8-year deal, and now he's not good enough. Did they ruin this kid? Things happen. No. It happens. Right? I mean, we are always pushing for guys to get to the big leagues, right? We want them up. You've seen a lot of success. It happens. It's hard for me to sit here and say they did the wrong thing. It looked good in April, and then some of it's got to be on the player once in a while. It can't always be what did they do wrong? It can be on the player, right? He didn't make the adjustments. Roman Anthony's pretty young. Peyton Toley's pretty young. We had no issues with that. But as soon as it goes south a little bit, we're on the organization saying that they screwed up. I mean, their success rate for young players has been pretty damn good if you look at it. And yeah, they could have been wrong on this. From what I've seen, I didn't think he was fully developed. He's not a great defensive player. They were willing to compensate that. They knew that. I think early in the season you can get away with it. Then they got away from all of that. They didn't want that kind of players on their team, right? They started to really make defense priority, and it's still an issue. It's still an issue. There's balls that aren't caught in the outfield, plays in the infield that aren't made, that aren't errors that have to be made. But I don't think it's fair all the time to just like kill the front office on this. There's other people involved. It's not just Cora and not Breslow. There's minor league people involved. Some people might have said no, but for their needs and what they wanted a right-handed hitter. They had a lot of injuries out of spring. And this isn't the first time this has happened. We've seen plenty of great players have to go down. So he's not, and I know he's hitting, but we're not surprised he's hitting. It's AAA pitching. But to call him back, right now, manager Chad Tracy talked about this. They are filling in a lot of the gaps of his development. So if you call him up now, and he's not going to play every day, and he's barely going to play, and there's really no room for him to play. He's not a good defensive player. He does not have a position. He cannot play center field in the big leagues. And that's the position he's played. He's played a little left, but no. That's a hard no for me when you're trying to win games. He could miss one ball in the outfield, cost you a game. And has not been great at first, and he was not great. So those are the things that they are working on to develop him. And I admire them for that. Right? They said, you know what? Okay, you're back. We got to figure this out. We don't care that we gave you a lot of money. We want you better. So we'll just see how it comes up. But I don't think he's an option right now for this club. So I know that hurts a lot of people's feelings. I know a lot of people don't agree with me, which is fine. But I don't understand why we constantly, when guys go back to AAA and then they do well, we just think that they're automatically qualified to play in the big leagues. It's same with Kyle Harrison. And I don't think Kyle Harrison is pitching. We'll see. The rumor is that he's getting an MRI. He's another one. He could barely get through 5 innings in AAA. And there was just all of this talk that he's such a better option. Based on what? If you can't pitch more than 5 innings in AAA, you go 90 to 95 pitches in AAA, why would you be a better option in the big leagues? Now, he could. I know they work on stuff, and then there's a track record, but I wouldn't have him pitch over Fitz or Criswell. So there's no correlation at times. Anthony's, other guys are different, Anthony and Toley, when you see them live, but just what Campbell and Harrison are doing does not mean that they can go up there in a pennant race. And we'll see with Harrison. So the rumor is now that he's getting an MRI on his ankle. So he has had an ankle issue, which maybe contributed to some of his outings, being a little sketchy. But we'll see. Bernardino is starting. He's the opener. And then we'll see if it's May or if it's Harrison. So it could be Harrison is now on the injured list. Boy, if you lose another starter, you got to hope that Fitz and Criswell are back soon, because right now, you're missing a lot of depth. But Lou Maloney's talked about this too. I know there's the stuff with Dustin May, and he won't pitch in the playoffs. So you have 22 games left. You just get through those games. He's not going to be in the rotation. And right now they got 4 really good ones right now. And, May is the 5th. It is what it is. If Fitz or Criswell was healthy, they're probably right there. All right, the Sox go for the sweep with the opener on the mound. I don't like openers, but I don't think they have any choice. It is a night game, 6:45. Bernardino against Cantillo. He's pretty good. A 3-3, 3.93 ERA and 80 strikeouts. Thanks for watching Red Sox Now. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social @TheRadioMike. It's all presented by FanArch. Go Sox.